Philadelphia, 1793. It was a hot, drought-filled summer in an area filled with wharfs, swamps, and only one sewer. A group of refugees arrived from Santo Domingo, and Philadelphia took them in, eager to show their American hospitality. Aside from the miserable heat, all was well. On August 19th, Dr. Benjamin Rush noticed that he'd had quite a few patients die lately with similar symptoms: fever, yellowed skin, and bloody vomit. After convening with other local doctors, he came to the conclusion that the yellow fever had returned. Yellow fever had struck Philadelphia in 1762, and they had been lulled into a false sense of security that it was gone for good after 30 years without a major outbreak. There were plenty of theories about what caused yellow fever, some of the most popular including that it was spread by a shipment of spoiled coffee that had been dumped on the wharf, or that the Santo Domingans had brought it with them. There was no cure, and no sure method of prevention. During normal times, Philadelphia averaged 3 to 5 burials a day. By August 24th, less than a week after Dr. Rush first identified the fever, averages were around 12 to 17 burials a day. Notices were published in newspapers on the 23rd, and people began leaving town in large numbers on the 25th. By August 27th, Philadelphia was barely recognizable. Schools were closed, business had come to a halt. The government began breaking down as more and more officials and essential workers fled. People who stayed were advised to avoid the sick, mark houses with sickness inside, and burn gunpowder to clear the air of contagion. The militia company from Fort Mifflin even drug a small cannon through the streets, firing it every few yards. Average citizens regularly fired guns to purify the air, making it dangerous to walk the streets. Dr. Rush was one of the most prominent figures of the outbreak, and he discovered what he believed was a groundbreaking treatment to cure the sick. He gave patients massive amounts of mercury and jalap to purge them, then bled them severely. He aimed to drain 4/5 of their blood over a period of a few days. However, at that point, doctors believed that people had over twice as much blood as we actually do. It's a miracle any of the patients he treated in this manner survived, but he firmly believed in his treatment. As described by J.H. Powell in Bring Out Your Dead, Dr. Rush's radiant charm is seductive. I find I sometimes forget, in the spell of his presence, that he had no common sense. But sense that is common is also dull, and dull Dr. Rush never was. At the end of August, the new Philadelphia Mint was still operational. Assayer Joseph Whitehead was the first Mint employee to die of the yellow fever, but the more well-known victim was Joseph Wright. He had recently finished creating new device punches for the cent, resulting in the Liberty Cap cent. Unfortunately, he died on September 12th, before any of his new design had been delivered. Inside the Mint, they were frantically trying to get coinage struck. There were typically 10 to 12 workmen present on a normal day, but by September 17th, this number had dwindled to 7. A group of cents and half-cents were delivered on the 18th, with only 3 workmen on staff, and the Mint closed the following day. They took apart the presses, sent valuable items, such as dies, books, and important papers, to the Bank of the United States, turned the horses out to pasture for a welcome break, and did any repairs they could find workers for. They knew from previous outbreaks that the yellow fever was a summer disease. It disappeared as the weather cooled. As an incentive for workers to return when it was safe, the Mint offered to give employees half of their missed pay if they came back for at least a month. This ensured that they would be able to resume operations quickly and easily, and proved to be a good system. In fact, they followed the same strategy at least 5 times over the first 10 years of operation. In 1793, the Mint reopened on November 13th, and most workers came rushing back. All in all, that year's outbreak killed 5,000 people within 4 months, about 10% of the Philadelphia population. The next large outbreak was in 1797, when the Mint again closed up shop. This time, Dr. Nicholas Way, the second treasurer of the Mint, fell victim to the fever. After his death, another physician was appointed as treasurer, Dr. Benjamin Rush, celebrity of the 1793 outbreak. A man of many endeavors, he's also known for being a signer of the Declaration of Independence and one of the founders of American psychiatry. The Mint closed again in the summers of 1798, 99, and 1803, after which the yellow fever all but disappeared from Philadelphia. These closures also left a mark on the coinage that survives today. $5 gold pieces were first minted in 1795 with the small eagle reverse. Sometime in 1797, the reverse was supposed to change to the heraldic eagle. Both types are found for 1797, as expected. But then there are a few anomalies. A small number of 1798 small eagle reverses were minted from a single die pair. In addition, coins were minted with the heraldic eagle reverse, but dated 1795. Yellow fever was one of the culprits for this confusion. When the mint reopened and coining resumed, workers were focused on producing coins quickly. If there was a shortage of dies, they reused old ones, leading to some perplexing combinations. Today, the 1798 Small Eagle $5 gold piece is one of the rarest regular issue US coins, with only 6 or 7 examples known. As time went on, scientists eventually figured out that yellow fever was spread by mosquitoes, not putrid air, and a vaccine was developed in 1953. The last major US outbreak was in 1905, but it still claims lives in South America and parts of Africa. The caduceus on the 1915 Panama Pacific $2.50 commemorative is a reference to yellow fever victims who worked on the Panama Canal and the research being done to eradicate the disease. Yellow fever was a real threat in the early days of the mint, but by providing incentive for employees to come back to work quickly, they were able to ensure minimal disruption and continued creating coinage for our young nation.